Today is the day we are going to de-slop the BT-01.
Excellent!
Hey guys, welcome back to Poor Boys RC. And like I just said in that quick intro, this BT-01 is pretty sloppy. If you watched my first video on it, if you watch any of the videos that are available on YouTube on this thing, a lot of guys are complaining about the excess slop in the suspension, the steering mechanisms. This thing can have a bit of a mind of its own sometimes. So today, we've got some nice little new upgrades to try and get rid of the slop. We've got ball bearings. We've got metal balls, 2 bags of metal balls. I'll have links to all this stuff down in the description box below for you guys. We've got some threaded links for our steering tie rods and our steering linkages. And we've also got, that bag is empty. I've got a handful of little shims here and a whole bunch more shims in this big container. And we're going to try and shim it up a little bit. I hear that these TT02 steel suspension balls make a world of difference. So we're going to add those, all sorts of goodies to see if we can make this thing a little bit of a tighter ride. Frustration levels were high with many of us when we put our BT-01s together and we went out for the first drive. And despite the configuration, whether you're front wheel, rear wheel, whatever you did, the amount of slop, and that's in the rear, guys. The front is just the wibbliest, wobbliest, craziest thing. Tough to keep this thing straight sometimes. Kind of crab walking sometimes, doing all sorts of nasty, sloppy things. So let's see if we can deslopify a little bit. Now, some of you guys chimed in during my last video and said that having some slop is good. It kind of makes a vehicle less twitchy on a racetrack, on a high grip surface, a little more easy to drive. But if you haven't driven a BT-01 or the MB-01, I think it's a whole new level of slop.
I made them extra sloppy for you.
Lady, you're scaring us.
That we're just not used to. And it was making these cars really more challenging to drive. And when you were in the front wheel drive configuration, the back end would tend to kind of do this, skirt here, skirt there, do whatever it wants to do. Same with the motor in the rear and rear wheel drive. The front wheels are kind of going where they want to go. It was really tough to control. I couldn't imagine it on a track without some upgrades. So right now, as I've got mine configured, it is rear motor, rear wheel drive. And I'm going to keep it in this configuration because after trying all three, this is definitely my favorite. It feels most like an authentic sports car, front motor, rear wheel. So let's start in the back here. We're going to do the ball bearings there. We've got the steel balls we're going to put in this upper and lower suspension. These upper links are more so, can you see that? Yeah, you can. These are more so used for just adjusting your toe in, toe out. But there's still quite a bit of slop here. So let's see if we can tidy that up a little bit. Apparently, these plastic Tamiya suspension balls are one of the biggest causes of slop on these chassis. This all originated with a TT02, I believe. So we're going to replace these guys with these wonderful steel balls picked up off eBay. Now, you can get these manufactured. Tamiya does manufacture these. You can get them right from Tamiya, from your local hobby stores. I just didn't have any in stock at my local stores, so I went and got these on eBay. Again, links down below on where you can get yours. Real easy. They just pop into the hole in the bottom and upper arms. 2 seconds. That was pretty simple. Ball bearings are in here. And just a quick shout out to all the viewers that said, hey, you got to try a couple of these different modifications to try and clean up some of that slop, including these threaded ball ends, which, you know, I didn't even really think that they'd make much of a difference, but apparently they do. So we're going to try those next. I just grabbed, these are just generics that I picked up off Amazon, but they're like an all metal construction, which I think is going to be good for deslopifying things a little bit tighter tolerances. I'm going to take off these ball cups and replace it with the threaded rods here. And this guy doesn't want to thread on because the threads at the end of this thing are kind of cut on a funny angle. And the machine threads on the inside of this thing, you can see how it doesn't sit straight. That's super annoying. That's a major letdown. Let's see if we can do a half and half then. do it halfway steel, halfway plastic. Try and reduce the slop a little bit more that way. Well, with one down, I'm going to say, I don't think I'm feeling much of a difference, guys, but let's follow through with this and see what happens. And here's another one where this end piece here is just the way that it's threaded. Yeah, so this one's threaded on a funny angle too. So when you thread them yourself by hand using plastic, it's fine. But with the metal one, it's not fine. You don't have the same forgiveness. Yeah, it goes on that side. So that's a little bit annoying, but something to make note of if you decide to go this route. You may have to get completely different steering links, ones that are designed a little bit better. That's about all I can muster with these. So that's our back done. Are we any less sloppy? I think we are less sloppy, guys. There's still some slop, but we're better. So I've got these 0.2 millimeter shims, and I'm going to try to use these in the back here. And I want to get them just on the front of these suspension arms. There we go, one there. Well, that really starts to make a difference. Now we can really see some of that slop being taken up. So I only shimmed the front portion of this upper arm, and you can just see that silver shim right there. And it's actually making quite a bit of a difference up top. I can feel the extra slop down low here now. And I think maybe I'll see if I have an extra shim. I can throw an extra one down there. So unfortunately, I don't have any more shims. The ones that I bought were actually the wrong ones. But I did have a couple in the kit, and I think we have succeeded in deslopping this rear end a little bit. So let's compare the front and the rear, because now essentially the front is completely stock and the rear has been somewhat modified. And these are the exact same components, front and rear, so there's no difference. Let's look at the front first. Here, I'll give you guys this angle. Man, that's so bad. So just a lot of slop, and yeah, it just kind of moves every which way. Now compare that to the rear here. It's a lot better. It is better. This is good. Okay, I'm going to finish up the front real quick, and then we're going to take this thing outside and do some testing with it. Well, I've got the whole front end done here, guys, and I'm not really very happy with it. So before I run outside and do testing, I just wanted to show you guys before we got out. Right inside here where you can see that steel ball, and there's the black plastic ring inside of that steel ball. That plastic ring is part of this knuckle or this upright, and there's still slop inside of it. It just keeps moving no matter what you do. But this thing, I think, is still pretty sloppy. That's pretty crazy if you ask me.
I made them extra sloppy for you.
Look how much this turns in and out. I mean, that's 8, 9, 10 degrees. But we said we'll give it a shot. So we'll give it a shot. Let's get these tires back on. Let's go see what she can do. And of course, as soon as I get out here, it starts raining, but that's fine. Got this guy all set to go. Just got to get the battery plugged in. I'm just going to start off on a 2S pack, guys. I did bring a 3S just in case. So I might have to make this a little bit quicker than I wanted to. The rain's starting to come down pretty good. The ESC is waterproof, but my receiver and servo are not. She's a little wet out now, so this won't be the best test. I apologize, guys, but it's the nature of living on Vancouver Island. So if you remember the last video, we started off by going down this crack right here. my mossy crack. And so we're gonna try it again. I'm gonna have to go pretty easy on the throttle because it's just spinning out 'cause it's so wet out now. But we're gonna see how this thing tracks, because in the last video you could really see the tail end kind of all over the place doing what it wants to do. So let's see if it's any better. This is pulling hard to the right for some reason. I just had my servo centered, and yeah. So I can't beat the car up too much because it is obviously wet out, but it still has that kind of floaty feel. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you've driven this thing before, you know there's enough of them out there now. You know what I'm talking about, how it just kind of wants to skirt this way, skirt that way, do what it wants to do sometimes. Definitely still have that feel. I can't get more than maybe 20% traction, 30% traction before it spins out. So again, I'm gonna say it's not the fairest test, but it still doesn't feel right. So I don't know what else to do with the chassis. If you guys have any more ideas, throw them down in the comment section below. But without going really crazy, going custom, and you know, I don't know what else to do with it to make it work. And in my opinion, you shouldn't buy a kit and then have to start modifying it to make it work. It should work out of the box. This almost reminds me of the re-release Blackfoots and Monster Beetles where the CV axles keep jumping out. It's just kind of designed not right. It's not designed the best. It's not. It just isn't. Sorry. I love Tamiya. I love this car. I want to love it more, but it's hard to sink your teeth into it when the bloody thing just doesn't work right. It drives me nuts, guys. It drives me absolutely crazy. You spend a couple $100 on a kit, it should at least work right out of the box. Can we not agree on that? We should be able to agree on that. And it's particularly frustrating because it's a brand new chassis. There's a lot of hype about it. I think this one's over-engineered. Go back to basics, Tamiya. Make it work. So when you buy the bloody kit, it works. Because this is pretty disappointing, to be honest. Let's see if we get some more footage for you guys. Even right there, it just did something. I want to see if you guys can catch it. I'm going to come at the camera nice and slow and just pay attention to the front end. It just kind of does this. Try that one more time. A little bit of a longer run. Yeah, it does this crab walk thing. There's another video I watched of somebody that's running one of these and says he feels like his crab walks. And I'd say that's an accurate way of explaining what it does, because all four tires are just kind of pointing this way, pointing that way, whenever they feel like it. I don't know what to tell you guys. This thing's tough to drive when the conditions are primo. When the conditions are bad like this, it's not going anywhere. So sorry I don't have a more eventful video for you guys today. I took last week off and wanted to get something out to you soon this week, and just couldn't afford to wait out the weather anymore. So I came out during some lousy weather, which has definitely hindered the ability to test what I wanted to test today. But I think the message is loud and clear. BT-01. Very sloppy, even with a bunch of modifications, still sloppy. I don't know, if you guys have any more ideas for me, let me know down below, but my gut says this is probably not the car that I was hoping it was going to be. That's how I feel right now. So maybe we can change that down the line. Help me out if you can. If you think there's anything else I'm missing, let me know. Other than that, guys, I'm gonna sign off for now. Catch you on the next one. As always, be excellent to each other.